it's all about.
No, I wish I'd gotten that actually. Sometimes I think I'd like to be a vigilante, frankly. You know, I'll go after all these guys doing tagging and stuff, and
Oh, yeah?
yeah, give them a good schmack. None of these tickets or fines. They just need a good schmack. I've said it before in my other videos, frankly. You don't have to say anything. Don't say anything. Don't say anything.
No, their insurance rate is probably over. Anyways.
Yeah. You see, the thing is, Mark, I realized something last year that in this country, and the U.S. and other countries, there's too many freedoms. I don't think you can argue with it. There's too many freedoms. You know? That's why everybody wants to come live here. So, in my opinion, there should be like I don't know. I'm not saying like, somebody does something wrong, shoot them. I'm just saying there should be harsher, more logical reprimand. Eh?
You're saying you're a conservative.
Look, I'm a liberal. I'm a free spirit. I speak my mind. I'm not afraid to say what I want.
I'm not so sure.
I know I swear too much, but I'm not always like that. You're right. Sometimes I do have a conservative mentality.
So you're
look at that bread box.
A right-leaning liberal.
You see that? I call that a bread box on wheels over there. Ford Flex.
You're a right-leaning liberal. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, sure.
No, that's okay.
Why not?
That's fine. That's okay.
What are we on here? 28101, 2008. LFS.
That's fine, Elton. I don't judge people on their political beliefs.
Oh, you're definitely not as judgmental as I am, that's for sure. My God.
I believe in live and let live.
Well, what about the song Live and Let Die? Huh?
That's only to make money.
And this beautiful, very perfect example of a winter day here. You guys can't feel the cold, lucky you, sitting in your chair somewhere. Coming up to Fire Station 65 here on Dollar Street, la rue Dollard, Caserne de Pompiers 65. I was thankful that a nice gentleman let me have the seat here so I can do the ride. Very nice guy.
Oh, there's a little bit of confusion with the last video we made.
Yes?
One of the questions I got was, Mark, did you know you were being filmed?
Oh yeah, you told me about that. It was a supervisor.
So, let me just clear up. Yes, I know.
Et pour le dire en français, mon ami Marc, il sait qu'en effet, il est en train d'être filmé par son ami. Puis tout est correct, tout est chic and swell. I've been to this fire station many times and I haven't gotten a response in a long time. Hey, I filmed them plowing this whole station, last time I was here.
I just want to help you out,
No, I know. You're a good guy. Now we're about to go into my least favorite part of this route. I don't know. It's just not. It's not horrible. It's just, I don't know. It's just kind of dull. But whatever. Sometimes, I don't know. Maybe sometimes it's like a movie. You can watch a movie and you don't enjoy it, but if you watch it a second time, you'll like it.
Yeah, I'm kind of like that with Delirious.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Delirious Eddie Murphy?
Oh yeah. I could watch that and I'll laugh like it's the first time I see it. What?
See, that's funny you should mention that about Delirious because my dad rented Andrew Dice Clay when he first came out with his first cassette, and
yeah, I think he's fun.
And then when my parents went to bed, my brother and me, we watched that. We were 13 years. I was like 13, man. That was a big deal, as you can imagine. I mean, that's heavy. I mean, you want to talk about vulgarities? Oh my God! Can you imagine the hate mail this guy must have got? Seriously?
Whatever's funny, you gotta say that stuff.
What do you mean?
Well, to be a comedian, you gotta be a little bit more risque.
By the way, on a bus footnote, I have to say, although this is not scrap in my book, this is scrap in the sense that my goddamn toes are cold, and this is definitely not a classic or a new look. That's what I miss about those high floor buses. They never were cold because you were in a high floor bus. Heat rises. Did you ever notice that?
No, because I'm pretty much high all the time.
No. And when he means higher off the ground. He doesn't mean high as a kite like smoking a joint. But
all right.
No, but you still sometimes ride buses, don't you, to get to wherever to do no?
Well,
no, I guess not, eh?
Well, sometimes, but the bus and train network is actually not so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But that's an off-island thing. That's normal, pretty much across the board. You're right. CIT, RTL, STL is.
You know, let's say I want to take the train to come into downtown Montreal. I got to time myself properly on the weekends. Because from Vaudreuil to Montreal on the weekend, there's only 4 or 5 departures. So.
Yeah. Hopefully, my camera picks up everything you say within competing with the lady talking on the phone. I think.
It is what it is, and I block it.
You know, a lot of times if I'm in public in a bus and I'm talking on a cell phone, because I know I have a big mouth, you know, hopefully I'll be able to stifle myself, catching myself, realizing, oh, maybe I'm talking too loud, you know?
Yeah. Well, look, it is what it is, and sometimes you just gotta...
It is what it is.
Pretty much I don't hear those things anymore. This job long enough.
And at this point, I'd like to just sing a little quick from Elton John. This train don't stop. Except this isn't a train, it's a bus. So this bus don't stop.
I don't think...
Delivery. And by the way, coming up, we're about to drive over the Lachine Canal there. Right there. Yeah, the old Lachine Canal, where the ships, the big tall ships used to go through to bring in and deliver their goods.
Actually, this is not the Lachine Canal.
What?
No, this is the... this here is the Aqueduct Canal. That's where they get the water from to supply to downtown Montreal.
Oh, well, I'm glad you corrected me then.
That's why I'm here, Rick.
Thanks, man. Well, yeah, thank you for, because, you know,
I want to correct you on...
No, I'm glad you did, because even me, sometimes I talk out of my ass. I don't even realize it, you know. People will point it out, and, you know, and they're yeah. You know, as bad as this weather is, I always do like when it's snowing, because it's a lot more interesting than, oh, nice charger, than just gray, you know, colorless days and, you know, skies, and, you know what I mean? There's action, there's something happening. Yeah. You know what is this, Bishop Power?
This is Champlain.
Champlain? Oh yeah, I know this street. I used to live near this street, but in Verdun.
Oh yeah, it's a nice stretch.
You know why they call it Verdun, eh? Because you live there and then Verdun. Get it? You know, we're done. Never mind. Forget about it.
Actually, you brought up millennials.
Yes.
You know,
whatever you say, I'm not editing out.
That's to say, actually, the contrary. I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of millennials I notice are being taken advantage of in the workplace, right? They don't have the same working conditions as Gen Xers.
Well, of course not. But that's nothing new. You got to start at the bottom. You got to start at the bottom.
I think it's a little more today than it was. It hasn't really started at the bottom. I mean, I think they're being highly exploited. I talk to a lot of people about this. It's just terrible at times. I don't want to name companies, but there's a certain company where warehouse where you can buy stuff for a few dollars. And,
warehouse.
They pretty much treat their workers like slaves. It's very disgusting.
I'm guessing you're talking about Costco, probably.
Well, I'm not going to name the store.
Something along those lines.
Something along the line where you don't have to pay too much for a hike, okay?
Right.
No.
You told me you used to live around here, eh, by the way?
I used to live back over the bridge, yes.
Back over the bridge.
Yeah.
Now you told me that you, and I'm proud of you, that you bought a, I guess, 2017 Impala.
2015.
Which nowadays is an unusual choice for a car, but back in the day of your parents, my parents, that wouldn't have been unusual.
Yeah.
Even though in those days it was a boat up until 85.
Yeah, I don't want to get the environmentalist mad.
But tell me something, you're of Italian background, what kind of car did your parents have when you were a kid?
They had an Oldsmobile 88.
A Delta?
No, I can't remember.
Well, if it was from the 90s, then it was an 88. But if it was from before that,
it was from the early 80s.
oh, it was a Delta for sure then.
It was okay. I mean, I don't remember. I was very young, but they had Chevy Impala.
Yeah, yeah.
Chevy Impala.
Yeah.
Chevy Nova.
Which one was your favorite?
Probably the Oldsmobile. It had air conditioning. Yeah.
Yeah. What's this guy? What route is this guy doing here? Is that the 58? Oh, the 110. Right.
But yeah, my Chevy Impala has the V6 3.7 liter engine.
Yeah, you were telling me that. You said it had a lot of power too.
Well, it has 300 horses. I don't drive like a maniac. It's just the fact that when you drive a bus all day, you pretty much don't want to drive anything smaller than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's like I've noticed when I go to a lot of fire stations, specifically when it's not so goddamn cold like now, right? To film responses if I can. I've noticed if there's one thing I see often is that you'll often see big pickup trucks parked there. Like it's. I mean, for one thing, firemen can afford that. They can afford a big F-150, 250 Silverado, and especially the guys that drive the trucks, the fire trucks. I guarantee you, that's probably most of them. That's what they drive.
Well, actually, the new Chevy Impala, it's quite affordable. Yeah, it's nothing out of the ordinary. It's something that anybody with an average job can afford. So it's actually I'm very happy with it. Very happy.
And I was telling you that I filmed a little ride with my friend, my friend Gilles.
Right.
Who's not photogenic unlike you or me.
Okay.
I asked him actually if he missed driving the classics, and I think this was just before he got into a stop where there were people, but he didn't answer the question. I don't think he did, frankly. I don't think he does, and I know why. I sometimes when you ask somebody a question, what they're thinking. You know what I'm saying? And I think in his case, after the thing I told you about how buses aren't supposed to stop if somebody's running after a bus for safety reasons. Well, think about it. Classics. They were higher off the ground. That's one thing. And there were a lot of other things too about those buses that even you're aware of. Even as much as I know you miss driving them.
I do.
That were not good. Like how all the fucking windows would fog up. There were other things too. Somebody told me once there was a driver. Was it you who told me that one time he drove on the 211 route? And on the 211 route, when you were going to like near Turcotte, the bus would just go like this, and it's like you're seesawing. And there was these two women that got off the bus at Lionel Gru, and they threw up from being so dizzy from the car.
Well, that's happened a lot in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would list from one side.
Yeah, they would just weave. They were weaving, and
yeah. So sometimes it was unintentional, sometimes it was intentional. You get students in the bus and they know that, so they'll just run from one side of the bus to the other to make it rock and roll.
What? Really?
Oh yeah. Even for other people, but when you see someone running, you don't want to ruin their day. You stop. I stop. That's it.
Even though you're well aware you're not supposed to do that. Yeah, I know.
That's kind of a great word.
No, but you know what? Listen, I have to agree with you on that. Look,
It's kind of a great line on there. So
I agree with you because look, I used to do customer service for Saint Hubert for 2.5 years, and there were things I did. A lot of times I spoke to clients for too long and I wasn't supposed to, and I didn't give a shit because I wanted people to be satisfied. And that is the most intriguing church I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
And I think that's where the funeral of my Aunt Mary was a long, long time ago.
Actually,
as you can imagine, it's just as equally impressive inside.
Actually, the rumor is that they made the church here in a circular fashion so the devil can't corner you.
Where did you hear that?
A friend of mine actually told me that.
Oh God, that girl's finally getting up. Hallelujah. Jeez, I'm having... when somebody talks so loud, you're having trouble thinking for yourself?
Talk louder, that's my...
You know, it reminds me of this guy. This guy who, you know, he restores old cars and trucks and stuff, and he has a video of his Kenworth wrecker with a Detroit in it, an 8V, a V8 Detroit. And he says truck runs good and all that, but he says that Detroit diesel, it runs so loud. He's like, I can't even hear myself think.
Yeah, well, you know, a lot of it has to do with the quality of diesel here in North America. The quality of the diesel in Europe is actually a bit different. It's more refined, so you would get less noise.
Yeah, but that's kind of a silly thing to say, Mark. I mean,
what I've read.
No, but you can't. I'm going to disregard your statement because don't forget they stopped making those Detroit diesels in '95. So we're going back now almost 23 years. So it's not even relevant. And anyway, the old diesels, these Cummins and Cass, they were noisy too, but just not as much. The Detroits were always known to be the worst. And even, you know, a Perkins diesel motor, those were sold worldwide. And believe it or not, some Detroit diesels actually made it to Europe, like in Britain and stuff too, you know. Seriously. Because they have a type of truck over there called a Bedford, and Bedford was a division of General Motors. See? Oh, this street looks familiar. Oh, that's why it looked familiar. Yeah, I walked around here once. Yeah. I think there's a lot of your paisans that live around here. You know how I know that? You know how you can tell a type of people that live in a certain place is by the shops. The shops and the restaurants say it all. You know what I'm saying? Like in NDG, for example, right? There's a lot of Jamaicans live there, and you can tell by the certain restaurants, by example, or the boutiques. It's interesting. That's what keeps life interesting, you know. That's why sometimes I think I would hate to live in a part of the world of Canada where it's just white people, you know, or just waspy white people, you know. I mean, more than you and me even, and that's boring. You want people from the Ukraine, you want people from Russia, Poland, Greek, Italian, Portuguese, you name it, right?
We're touching on a very dangerous subject right now.
No, it's not a dangerous subject. You don't have to say anything. We'll just leave it at that. I just something that I feel strongly about, you know, because, look, I said in a video the other day, I said, look, you know, I was filming a walk on St. Croix Street in Ville Saint Laurent, and I mentioned that I had heard recently that Ville Saint Laurent was 80% Arabic, and it's amazing when you think about it, because that's a lot. And then, you know, I would say something like, oh, you know, some snowflakes are probably going to be offended by that and take it out of context. And you know what, the thing is that it's like a friend of mine once said, and ever since he said this to me years ago, he's a mechanic. I said to him, I don't know, he said something, and I said, bro, you're prejudiced. He says, I'm not prejudiced, I hate everybody equally. And it's true. We're all prejudiced. That's the way I see it.
Well, you know what, I think it's just human nature where...
Exactly.
You get where you get Italians, I'll use myself. Okay? You get Italians, and they all want to stick together, and it's like that with any other culture.
That's what I said. That's what I said in the video.
That's normal.
That's exactly what I said in the video. Actually, I said that I would never live in Saint Laurent because of that. Because of the fact that, generally speaking, people want to be with people that look like. It's as simple as that.
I prefer not to do that. Okay. I prefer just to be more spread out, meet different people, but more people are comfortable with their own culture, and that's cool.
Yeah, but when I say what I just said, I don't mean that. The last time I was here was in the summertime. What I mean by that is that I like I just said, of course, it's normal to be with people that, you know, that look like you, whether you're white or you're black or whatever you are. But again, not everybody. You know what I mean? Like where I live, for example, it's still very Quebecois. But you know, you have a few Arabic, you have a few Chinese. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm saying? It's interesting. It keeps life interesting. It's like people who eat like hamburgers and hot dogs every day. How the hell can you do that? You know what I mean? It's variety.
I'm not a big pork eater. You'd be surprised, Italians, they love their pork, but I've never really gotten into a lot of pork products.
You know, it's funny you should say that, because I had pork yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was.
You like it either?
Was delicious. It was a tenderloin.
I'm more of a beef and chicken kind of guy.
Beef and chicken, yeah. Oh, I like all of the above anyway. I don't eat as much fish as I used to because it got too expensive. And
Said something about before I
mercury.
started recording, or when I started recording, is going to be a half hour. I didn't think it would be, but you know, why not? I mean, look, I got enough battery power as long as I'm in a warm place. The cold is what kills the batteries. The same reason why when it started to get real cold last week.
Yeah. You say you're late.
Anyway, but yeah, I mean, since I'm on a roll, and you know, you made something a comment about.
Let's talk about something really interesting. Come on. I want to see something go viral.
Any business? Let me see the people that we're in.
Still none of your business.
Yeah, you can't wear me. Well, that's
What could go viral? You know, tell me.
Yeah, nice.
I think I'm going to come closer to you now, so we can actually hear each other talking more. Because that girl has as loud a voice probably as I do. So here, look, I'll record your speed here. What is this here? Yeah. So tell me something. How often do you get the supervisors getting on your case?
Well,
Would you say, how much more would you say it's been since, let's say, 10 years ago or even 5 years ago?
okay, my supervisor doesn't get on my case.
Okay.
There is a few things, minor things here and there, which sometimes I don't even know how things work in this company. No, but I'm just being real.
Yeah.
My supervisor will come and see me and says, you know, you're not really supposed to do that. You're supposed to do this.
Yeah.
And I'll say, oh, okay, I didn't know.
Never again.
And that's it.
See, it's funny. This view, this overhead view I have here, it's almost like as if it's a simulator. Now, this is when I say that a simulator, I mean like a video game. You know, that's why there are people who are more addicted to video games than ever, because you have all kinds of video games. People, listen, I've seen these kids. They can make buses. They can make a classic.
Right.
They can be driving an LFS. I even saw an ad for a video game on Facebook for snow plowing of all goddamn things.
Snow plowing? Oh,
Yeah.
There's train driving, snow plowing, truck driving. I think even the metro simulator.
Oh
you can
yeah.
actually get
Well, I even know a guy who made a simulator. That's, you know, but and he tried being friends with me, but frankly, he's just, he talks way too much, and he just becomes vague. And I mean, he's a good guy and all that, but I can't stand him.
Actually, can I just say something? You talk about my supervisor.
Yeah. You want me to stop recording?
I just want to make it clear. They don't get on my case. Very nice gentleman. I don't want to say his name,
Yeah.
but very nice gentleman. I can always go and ask him questions.
Yeah.
I got no problem.
Yeah.
No, you catch me on the weekends? Yo, no makeup, hair in a bun, sweatpants.
Oh boy, that woman just mentioned something that bothers me. I'm gonna mention it right now, and I mentioned in another video what is with these kids today with the sweatpants? Always the sweatpants. Did somebody tell them? Did they find out or something that wearing a belt is bad for your waist or your digestive tract? I mean, that's the impression I get. Because I think there's nothing that looks more classless than sweatpants. Sweatpants to me are made for two things: they're either working out, jogging, or those two together, or staying at home.
Yeah, sweatpants is it's okay. Just people don't know how to wear them.
But Mark, I mean, that's one of the reasons why you live on the outskirts, outside the cities, because there's a normality. That's one of the reasons why I dream of one day living like yourself in a nice little house somewhere, and or even around here where I don't have to go right outside and be annoyed by things just within 5, 10, 20 minutes.
Well,
Seriously.
What gets me a little sad is that the new mortgage rules now, a lot of young people can't afford their first home. Well, once again, it goes back to the millennials.
Yeah, but
they're being crapped upon unfairly on these sort of issues.
This guy worked both ways.
I'm getting.
But that's the thing I feel bad about the millennials is they're having
I don't feel they're getting treated very fairly.
They're often
markets,
yeah
anywhere.
yeah, and not only that.
Crapping on them for no reason.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of bad points to them. They are corrupted by technology, and that, by the way, is not their fault. That's the fault of Apple and other software companies and all that shit. That's their fault. And not only that, and on top of that, the cost of living is through the roof.
Right.
I mean, you remember our parents? My parents got married when they were 22, bro. You know how? What do you think the average age of getting married is now, for example? Let alone have. Oh my God, having kids? Ah, having kids. You know? My God. Look at it. Race them.
I'm not interested in racing.
I know. That's why you bought an old. That's why you bought an old man's car.
You know, I get
But it's true. It's an old man's car.
I get that a lot.
It's true.
I'm cool with it, but you know, there's just something with the new Chevy Impala that's nostalgic.
It isn't. No, but it is nostalgic. You might. No, but bro, you might as well
Old
be.
school with cars.
You are old school. No, but you are old school. Period. That's why you bought that car. The same reason if I was driving, you don't think I would be driving a Crown Vic or a Grand Marquis? Fucking right, man.
Actually, you know,
Absolutely.
My first choice was the Crown Vic, but when I was ready to buy the Chevy Impala, they had just stopped making it.
Well, I'll tell you something. If you would have let that, you leave me in charge, bro. I would have found you a nice 50,000 mile Crown Vic there, 2,000 whatever.
Yeah, but I would have wanted a new one, not an old one.
Really? Oh, wait a minute. I just noticed. Oh, look at this. We're back on dollar. Man, I didn't even notice we're back on dollar.
Oh yeah, we're right here.
Right on.
Right on.
That's what I always say. Right on. Oh, man, that guy's tall. Adios, muchachos. You know, a lot of times I could be walking somewhere and I have a song pop in my head. I don't know how the hell it's possible, but one of my theme songs to my life is the song by Neil Diamond, Solitary Man. You know that song?
It's called an earworm.
Earworm, yeah. Well, that's like, for me, that's like nonstop.
I thought it was like a Canadian thing. But
And
don't get me wrong, I love going into the U.S.
But don't forget,
Love going
a lot of what I film has to do with American culture. Those all those vehicles. Oh my God! You know how much I dream of going back there? Do you know how many old cars and trucks are over
I
there?
just love New Hampshire.
Right, you still haven't figured out who he is.
Love going to New Hampshire, so
I think I'm gonna get off at the Timmy's. That way I can go drain the vein. And then I'll take the 191, and maybe if I'm lucky, I'll get a freight off the 20 there, because now I'm not freezing my balls off. But I will, of course, once again. I'm warm, I'm cold, I'm warm, I'm cold. You know.
Yeah, I know him.
Tall. He's not
He's not tall.